All right, hey everybody, it's Jenna, and I'm back here with a very special guest, author
Mhm.
Erin Whitford. Hi, Erin.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
So I read Erin's book, like Light Through Water, as an arc. I was part of her book tour team, and I was a little late because I got overwhelmed with life, but I read it. I loved it. One of my favorite books so far for the year. So I reached out to her, and she graciously agreed to talk to me. So, Erin, tell us about your book. Give us a little synopsis.
Well, thank you so much for being part of the art team, first and foremost, and of such a good experience. Like Light Through Water is my debut fiction book, and it's book one of a series. And it's a kind of sci fi dystopian. So it's set in the future. Essentially the weather and kind of just like the ecosystem has been wrecked from like pollution and cloud seeding, and so the people in this region called Tabris haven't seen this actual sun in over a generation. So they're basically kind of covered by this thing called the shroud, and all of the weather is you know formatted through algorithms now, so everything's like right on track. They know exactly when it's going to rain, when it's going to do whatever, and so the government tightly controls all of that. And because of the pollution and everything that's like kind of been in the air that they've been breathing and ingesting, there's been this pretty severe sickness that started that they call the cloud coughs, but it's because they're sick because of the pollution in the air, and it's deadly. So people are dying, and but there's some people who are immune, and they it's just kind of like this randomized immunity. And so the book kind of opens up with this kind of weird ceremony preparation. And so they basically are planting, harvesting these fields. And part of this kind of buy in to the culture that the government's trying to do is that the people of the region, as they plant the new crops, they have to put some of their blood in with the seeds of the crops. And that's how they identify the immune, is because the immune's plants, when the crop harvesting comes around again, their plants are bigger than the rest. So it's like they're physically healthier. And it's this whole big like identification ceremony, and it's really an honor. So people want to be chosen because they're like, oh, I'm immune, I can help. There's benefit to their families, um, and so there's this hopefulness that they're going to be able to find a cure based on the immunity. But the region's also planning to leave the planet. They're like they've been terraforming another planet because the one that they're in is not inhabitable anymore. They're kind of limping along until they can figure out what to do. And so, but they're hoping that with the immunity that they can prevent this from happening again. So our main character, Iridian, affectionately known as Rids to her family and friends, she's identified, and she's lost her mom to this sickness. And so we basically are following her along in this journey of being identified. She's got a really great core group of like found family. So if that's your trope that you like, there's found family in there. Um, and so they're basically like she's brought into this like inner sanctum of the government, and she's like, I'm just a normal person. Like, what am I doing here? She's got a love interest, Cyrus, who's like, big hard eyes, big swoon worthy. Um, we love Cyrus. And so it basically follows her story along as she's uncovering these secrets, and things aren't really as they seem. In a good dystopian, you can't ever trust the government.
Right.
So, yeah. The government's like super sketchy. There's some like weird, like questionable, creepy people in there that you're like, you're making my alarm bells go off. And so she starts discovering this stuff that's kind of unraveling what she thought she knew. And then she's met with kind of this overall question without giving away any like spoilers. She's met with this question of, what, like, who is worth saving? Like, if some people are worth saving, everybody has to be worth saving. And like, immunity or not, like, that hope is something that anchors her, that she's like, I can't help but hope for this future where everybody is deserving of being valuable, and like that's ultimately what she's clinging to. But so there's some stuff in there that might create some emotional damage, and it ends on a cliffhanger.
It does. It
Yeah,
does.
yeah, yeah.
And
So
I reread that section at the end like two or three times, thinking, did I miss something? No, this is.
yeah, yeah. And I love that. I mean, not that I want to like make people like feel that way, but when I was telling my husband, when I decided how I wanted it to end, I was like, okay, this is what I'm hoping the response is going to be from the ending, that people are like, ah, like, oh my gosh, like, who is it? And that's been the response, which has been really exciting. But now, kind of some pressure mounting for book two, that there's going to be answers. There's going to be answers to the cliffhanger in book two, but that we're going to see this whole kind of new world open up in book two, where we're taking our besties, our crew that we love so much from book one, and now what happens to them, and you'll get the answer of the cliffhanger.
Gosh. So, how many books are you intending there to be in your series?
Yeah, so right now there's going to be three. So I'm working on book two. It's like I've started writing, it's outlined, like I know how it's going to go. So that's good. Um, and then there's going to be a third final book in the series. However, I do have an idea, and I don't think I've actually like told anybody this, so you heard it here first. But yeah, that I do want to write like a prequel that follows Maris. So yeah, so I know Maris is kind of like one of those like quiet favorites I've understood from people, but it'll like flash back to her and her husband, and how Tabris is kind of how it became what we see it as in book one, and just kind of get a little more like character development and insight into how did we get to this point, like who was Maris, and like what was her sacrifice to this world that she sort of alludes to
Mhm.
in book one. And so that's kind of a planned prequel to give us some more love for the kind of secondary characters that we see in book one.
I love that. I had another question as I was reading the book, and I don't know if you can say anything, but like Rid's dad, because it
Mhm.
basically just says that he once she got to a certain age, he just like walked off, like just kind of vanished. So
Yeah. And
will we see him again, or is it really like he vanished, he really is gone, he's passed away?
yeah. And I know, yeah, that scene actually, the line, I've gone to where the irises grow, like interestingly enough was like a late addition in the writing process. Yeah, it was, draft slash editing number 9020, like as I'm writing. And I was like, ooh, okay. And so it was just a kind of a late addition. And I'm thankful that that it made it, because I think it gave a lot of like,
Depth.
yeah, depth, and kind of like but a question mark too for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he may or may not show back up. I think there's several characters that are like that, where you're just gonna have to see kind of in book two, like is he really gone? Does he have any kind of lasting legacy past sort of that heartbreaking goodbye? And what does that mean for Rids? What does that mean for her as her psyche, like the abandonment question, and she doesn't really have any kind of family or anything. So I think for Rids, like she she has such a tenderness to her, but she also kind of avoids difficult feelings. And so that's something that I'm going to explore some more in book two is really, what does this mean for her? Like what does she actually feel, and is she willing to look into the face of these kind of pivotal moments in her life and decide like what is important to her? What is, a a turning point that she is going to choose to go down. So, yeah. Yeah, she's we love Reds. She's super fun, and I'm looking forward to developing the like dynamics between the characters, her different like kind of found family characters there as well.
I loved that um she is gentle, but
Um,
and especially in some of those scenes with Aster, like
yeah.
she shows strength. And that's what I've read other books where the character is um I'll mention it, The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow.
Mhm.
It's very timid, very I love the book. I gave it a very high rating, but I
Yeah.
spent most of the book livid, hating that main character because she was so I'm like, and then she's like, "Oh, they got hurt because of me." And I'm like, "Yes. Yes, they did.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Like
You
I'm glad
didn't
you
make a
recognize that.
decision.
Yeah.
You were waffling." And so I liked that about her, that she was strong in her convictions. She
Hmm.
and she acted on it. So even though she was gentle and there was a real caring towards others, I really like that. And I like that her journey, her arc was about learning the truth and then what to do with the truth you learn.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that insight. And that was kind of the goal there was like, okay, this is all she's ever known. It's not like they travel like outside of this region or anything. Like this is the life that she's known. And then what do you do when everything that you thought was truthful and accurate and at face value is not? How do you deal with that, and then what do you do with it? Do you just sit by and be like, man, that sucks, okay? Like this is life, I guess. Or what is worth fighting for? Like what is valuable enough to say like, no, there are better ways and better days that we can fight for. And then she's kind of left like, with the weight of that sacrifice.
Hmm. What was the inspiration for this? Was there something in particular that you thought that was kind of the nugget that started it?
That's such a good question. So this is funny, but the title actually started off as just a random phrase that I thought of on a sticky note, like on a post-it note. And so I teach English as like my day job. I'm a professor at a local college, and um, so I read a lot, and that's kind of the you know cornerstone of what I do. But I just thought of this phrase and I was like, oh, I like that. That's fun. And so I jotted it down on a sticky note and stuck it to my computer screen and was like, I'll, you know, save this for later when I figure out what to do with it. And I initially like thought, oh, maybe it'll be like a poem or something. And admittedly, like my poetry is not great. So that didn't turn into that. I was like, yeah, this is not something that the rest of the world's gonna see. But then yeah, it started off as that, and then this is gonna sound super cheesy, but I had this dream, and it was kind of like a scene from a movie, kind of, but it was all of these characters like running towards a farmhouse, and there's like a storm looming in the background, and they're all running in, you know, kind of it's alluded that they're like meeting, they're planning on being there, and so it's all these characters gathered around, and they're like, it's happening again, but it's worse this time. Like we have to do something about it now. And that was the dream. Super random. Like I don't know where that came from, but I was like, oh, what if somebody could control the weather and it was like weaponized? And
That's really, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that kind of thought came up, and I was like, what if the weather was weaponized? So that's sort of where like the premise of like the weaponization of the storms and stuff came from. And then, and this is a span over probably years, honestly, just kind of flowing into this. And then my husband and I were driving, or our family was driving to the coast in Texas, and there's long highways. And in part of this drive, there's lots of crops on the other sides of the highways, and there were sorghum crops.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, if you look at a normal field, there are ones that are taller than the rest, like
Right.
where the heads stick up above the rest of them. And so we're driving, and I'm like, I wonder like why some of them are taller, like they're stronger than the rest of the plants. And then that idea kind of came into my head where I was like, what if like this kind of weird, crazy world, like they had to prove that they were stronger through their DNA by like adding it to the planting seasons, and just, and it all kind of pieced together from there. And I mean, if I could be like, transparent and like honest for a second, like for a long time, like most of my, I guess, like writing life, I had written nonfiction, boring academic articles that nobody's going to read. And I just never thought I was creative enough to write fiction. I love fiction. I love science fiction and dystopian and just books and creativity like that in general, but never thought that I had it myself. And then just one day I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want to look up when I'm 80 and wish I would have tried.
Yeah.
I was like, worst case scenario, it's bad, I guess, and nobody likes it. But I at least won't say, man, I was too scared to try. And just to throw my hat in the ring and see what happens. And so, yeah, it kind of, I was like, okay, well, I would read this story. Like, I think this is kind of cool. Like the idea of, weaponization and weather and, like any good millennial, I love a dystopian. So, yeah. And so that's kind of where this came from. Sounds a little melodramatic, but it was years kind of in the process of adding little by little until it became real.
So, when did you decide, like, I am going to sit down and try and write this?
Yeah. So it was probably a couple of years ago, maybe a little more than that now. The idea was, the premise for the book was more kind of fleshed out in my head,
Mm-hmm.
where I was like, okay, I have a general concept of start to finish. And then I went to a writers conference with my mom actually, and it was just so cool to see like all of these like fellow writers and in varying places in the process of writing. And I was like, you know what? Like, I think it's good to create for creativity's sake. Like where like this brings me joy, and I am enjoying coming up with this world and these people, and the themes and the ideas that I want to bring across. And so like let's just try. And so I just I think that the writing world calls it like a pantser, where you just kind of write by the seat of your pants. And so I was like, I'm just going to sit down and try this out. I'm much more of a planner now, but yeah. So it was, somewhere between 2 and 3 years ago, I was like, I'm just going to do it and see what comes out of it. And if nobody else reads this, but my husband and I, like, then I can be proud of having taken the time to create something and see it through. And then, I've kind of it found some footing with some other people. And so that's really cool to see when other people like it resonates with them as well, outside of your mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Moms are just too biased. But
I know. Yeah.
I thought the pacing was good. Like, it kept
Oh,
me,
yeah.
like, there were slower, tender moments with the friends that were heartwarming, and I loved their back and forth, their banter. Um, there were some heartbreaking moments, but it kept moving. Like, I think from the beginning, when we meet our characters to the end, it's not a whole lot of time that passes, like, in the story.
Mhm.
It's a
Yeah. It does go kind of quick. I always kind of tell people, I'm like, it kind of does this. And then like, once you get to like the peak, it's like, like the momentum, the ball going down the hill. But yeah, the pacing of writing is interesting, and I think as a writer, you have to naturally be a reader so you can learn other people's craft and approach to things. But I think book two is going to have more tension.
Okay.
Yeah. There's definitely going to be some like surprise moments where you're like, wait, what? And there's more than one of those. So I think book two is going to definitely give give some like up the ante on the pacing side of things too.
Well, the writing was beautiful. Like I was actually
Beautiful.
in tears like during, that part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to say anything because people who
Yeah.
haven't read it, I don't want to give anything away. But I was in tears. I mean, the way you wrote about the different um, motions of grief and whatever that the people were
Yeah.
experiencing was very relatable and very true. And
Thank
I kind
you.
of felt myself, who, unless you're someone who has been blessed to not experience grief,
Yeah.
for those of us who have, it was very true and very relatable. And I'm not going to tear up now, thank you. But
Yeah.
it was very good. And so that's why when I looked you up and I saw that it was like your debut novel, and I'm like, how? Because it's so good. It's so,
You're
so
so
good.
sweet. Thank you. That's like the biggest compliment I think is as a writer. And I guess something important to me is like I love beautiful writing, like that feels like lyrical. And maybe it's because it's like what I do for a living, or I think it's just, something that like God has really like put in my heart, that like I find a lot of beauty in beautiful words. And so that is a huge compliment. Thank you. Cause I was like, I want like the craft of the writing to be good, but like I want there to be beautiful lines too, and to give space for those realistic feelings. I think it's like I don't know. I'm sure that you've like encountered characters that maybe you don't like, or like maybe things like how they respond you disagree with and stuff. And I was like, okay, how can I create this person or these people to respond in ways that are different than mine? Where it was like a more holistic experience for whoever, where it's like, okay, I might not respond that way, but this is a real response for somebody else, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I think there's a difference. Like I mentioned that one book a minute ago, I was so
Yeah.
angry. I still, when I think about that character, but would I read the book again? I absolutely would. That's another one
Mhm.
where, like we were saying, the writing is beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that there also can be characters that you like, or maybe you're indifferent about, but that's the sign also, I think, of good writing when they're making decisions and their behavior is consistent with who they've been,
Yeah. Yeah.
as opposed to they've been a certain way, then all of a sudden they make this stupid,
This like random choice that you're like, wait, what?
But I
Um,
like that line,
yeah.
the one you talked about earlier about Rid's dad, I go where the irises are growing. I thought that was a beautiful line too. And there were
Yeah.
some other, now I was reading it on my Kindle, so it's hard. Normally when I have a regular book, I tab
Oh
where,
gosh, I highlight and underline everything. Like if there's a book in our house, it's got annotations in it from either me or my husband for sure.
yes. But there were several that I marked. You made some comments about truth and about power and about government and order. And I think those are things that, yes, it's dystopian, it's sci-fi, it's fantasy, but they are things that are very true to our shared human experience. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that and that was kind of a point I was hoping to make, was like the universal, at least my argument or my perspective, that like, every life is valuable. And because in the premise of the government system was that there were some that were more important than others or more valuable or more, they were more willing to save, and that some were expendable.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like kind of this experience of, we may not agree on X, Y, and Z, but can we agree that like
Yeah.
human life is valuable, and regardless of, you know, some type of designation that you may carry that you might not have any choice in, like the characters in the book didn't have a choice in being immune or not. um, but that there was like this ultimate hope that they could help others that weren't. And is hope an anchoring thing for them, or yeah, like is is humanity worth saving,
Mm-hmm.
at the cost of what, and so, and then there were characters that obviously disagreed and didn't have weren't on the same page. But yeah, I think like this, some of the feedback that I've gotten from some readers, which was super cool, was that this felt eerily plausible.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh yeah, I mean, in my head it was just so like, I don't know, just here's this random fictionalized idea, but a lot of people were like, this feels like it could be
Yeah.
distantly real, and I was like, ooh, I hope not. Yeah.
I hope not.
But yeah, I think like I mentioned before, the whole, being a good millennial, like a good dystopian, I think causes us to ask, like, what things drive us, like what's important to protect and to save. And um and Reds thankfully has like a good crew of people surrounding her that are in it with her too, which I really liked the ensemble cast.
I did too. And honestly, as I was reading it, like I could see it as a series or a movie or like one of those limited series. It's like
Yeah.
just because it had the dynamics between the characters. It was fast paced. So, but I also think it's very timely. We have a subscription, or we're members of like the Angel Studios
Oh
network,
yeah.
and
Us too.
so we got to go see Animal Farm, the new
Yeah.
animated. And so
Mhm.
as I'm reading your book, and especially with like Astor and some of the government, it was like that, we're all created equal, but some are more equal than others,
Yeah.
that
But
type.
not you. Yeah.
Recently, I feel like there's been a lot of stuff exploring this very idea of equality, and in the face of great drama, like who's important, who do you
Mm.
save? And so I feel like your book is landing smack in the middle when this is the question being asked.
Yeah, that's such a good perspective. I love like there are kind of trends, I think, in culture and stuff. Certainly like that, even in particular in fiction. And yeah, I think now that it is kind of a more poignant question that people are asking and then sort of wrestling with, like in writing and in books, and kind of leading us to a point of, okay, what is it that I believe? What do I think or feel about these things? And even if it's like fictionalized, like if I were in this space, would I be on the side of the tax list who they're like, we're going to take the special people, or am I going to be neutral and just keep my head down, or am I going to say like, no, even though it's scary, like this is worth fighting for.
Right.
And I think that she, like, Rids is so, she is quiet, and I intentionally wanted her to be sort of a departure from the kind of more traditional dystopian female main character, who's like maybe kind of prickly or like sharp, and which is, not a bad characterization. I just kind of wanted something a little bit different with her, where she is not naive, but just, she can't help but hope. She can't help but be like, there's got to be a way, or there's got to be good in people. And I think when she realizes that for some people there's not a whole lot of redemption for them and their choices, like it hits her even harder, because she's like, I want them to have this inkling of good that wins out, and when it doesn't, it's kind of extra painful for her. Um, but yeah, so I wanted that, and then kind of the intentional um dynamic between her and Cyrus, her love interest in the book. I wanted him to be like just a good dude, basically, for lack of a better way to put it. Like I was like, I just want this to be like a depiction of a relationship that could just be healthy, you know, like where they love each other, they support one another, and um that they're in it together. And I think there's, you know, some lines in there where it's like, we each have our strengths, but together we're a stronger
Mhm.
unit. That was a bad paraphrase of my own writing, but uh, but but yeah, I with those I was like, man, I just want to be intentional about the direction and the development of the characters individually, but also relationally.
Mhm.
Um, for me, that was a choice in sort of a different direction than some of the other books that I've read. So,
Yeah. And like Aubrey and I laugh about this all the time because she reads all the spicy, unhinged stuff. I will
uh-huh.
not read a book if it has all the spicy stuff. I will not read a book if that's the whole purpose of it. And there's no
Yeah.
plot. But
And there's no plot. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
no.
just chili peppers. Yeah.
Yes. But even the books that I read, like Agatar, like I
Mhm.
tend to skip over. I'm like, you like him, you like, okay, carry on. I want to get to
Yeah.
the stuff. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Not Aubrey. Aubrey likes all the juicy details, but
Uh-huh.
I do feel like a lot of the relationships depicted in, especially in fantasy, there are
Mhm.
darker elements. There's more of this, like sometimes, and it's not always the men that don't treat the MMC treating the FMC badly. Sometimes it's the other way around, but
Yeah.
there's it's very dysfunctional. I think it's safe to say.
Hmm.
So sometimes even when I see the connection, and but then I'm like, ugh, I
Hmm.
personally I couldn't get past what you did back there. Even if we could be friends and we could be okay, I would not be trying to hop in bed with you.
Yeah, no, for real. And I definitely agree actually. Like there's some characters that I'm like, this is a deal breaker for me. Like I would not want to be friends with you or intimate with you or anything.
Oh.
You know, like this is problematic to me, like long term, you know. And um just knowing that about myself, like I think that, you know, writers can write characters that make choices that are different than I would make as a real person or whatever, but there are just certain things that I was like, I don't want to write a relationship like this. And like no shade towards, you know, books that have like the kind of morally gray
Yeah.
like components to it. But for me, for this particular relationship, like I wanted it to be just okay, like it can be healthy. And I think that I don't know, just from my perspective, like the stakes are even higher if it's like if it is healthy and stable.
Yeah.
There's a fight scene in the book, not between the FMC and the MMC, but between two guys. I don't know if you remember that in the
Yeah.
hangar.
Yes.
And so, funny story with that. I mean, I'm obviously not a dude, and I don't regularly fight people. So, but so I'm writing this scene, and I'm like, this. My first draft of it was like bad. Like it was not not good. And I asked my husband. I was like, hey, as a dude, um, can you read this and give me some feedback? Because I know that it's not very good, but I can't figure out how to fix it. And so he read it and he he goes, well, I think you're off to a good start. And I was like, that's the kind of stuff I tell my students when their papers aren't very good. And so I was like, okay, well, give it to me. What do I need to do? And so he gave me homework. And he was like, you need to go watch this scene in Good Will Hunting
Oh.
and this scene from Roadhouse. And that's how, you know, characters, like how guy characters actually talk to each other and how they interact and how a fight scene would look. And he was like, and you need to try and choreograph it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, like the first draft of it I kept because it was so bad. It's a it's a good reminder of like,
What made you fall in love with reading to the point that you wanted to become an English teacher?
oh gosh, what a good question. So my parents always read, like there were always books in our house and they were always reading something. And I just really fell in love with, even as a kid, like I loved, my mom would take us to the library and we could check out as many books as we wanted. I remember that being just so cool. It wasn't like, oh, you can have five. It was like, you can have this stack of books. And um, then just finding these worlds that you could fall in love with, like A Wrinkle in Time is like one of my favorite books. I read it still every couple of years. And you know what that can, I feel like, show us about the human condition and culture and all of that. And so yeah, I always just loved what writing and reading in a big kind of scope could show us about who people are and who I am. And so, and then I think on a very pragmatic side, like I was really bad at math. And so nothing involving math. I actually loved like checking out books on space and stuff when I was a kid and planets. And then I realized how much like math was involved with anything related to like NASA. And I was like, well, okay. Also, the idea of teaching others how to convey their thoughts in a way that others would understand. And so I really like that part of like my day job, like in teaching is, you know, even with the rise of like AI and all of that, I'm like, now more than ever, you have to be able to convey and articulate like what you feel and why,
Mm-hmm.
not just what you feel, like I am angry or, you know, rage commenting
Right.
on the internet, but like, why do you feel that way? Why do you believe that way? And, you know, teaching my students how to like articulate those things so they're understood by others, but they also understand themselves. Cause half the time they're like, I don't know why. I'm like, okay, well, let's figure it out then, you know? So I guess if I'm going to teach people to write, I should probably put my money where my mouth is and write myself. I think finding the genres that you like to read are so important because, like, not everything's going to speak to everyone. Reading the stuff you like, like it doesn't have to be popular, it doesn't have to be on everybody's TBR, but, what do you enjoy reading? And then becoming a student of that.
What are your favorite genres?
Oh gosh. I love sci-fi. Like I'm just a giant sci-fi nerd. And I like hard sci-fi, but I kind of like the fantasy sci-fi sort of crossover, dystopians. But I do like fantasy too. Um,
What are
I'm
your
like,
favorite reads that you've read recently, like in the past year or two?
okay, that's such a good question. So I go through like reading spurts because I have to read so much for my day job. Like I grade a lot of essays. So during essay cycles, I am not reading anything but essays. Which if there are any students listening, I love your essays. They're my favorite.
These are a few of my favorite things.
But I've read C.S. Lewis's The Space Trilogy, which is like one of his like lesser known works. It's actually one of my top 10 favorite like pieces ever. And so I read that every couple of years just because it's so good. And I am insufferable about recommending it so I can make other people talk with me about it. So that one, I read Dark Matter and Project Hail Mary, kind of popular ones this year. Okay, arguably Dark Matter is a romance and I will be taking no notes on that. Like it is so romantic. Like it is such a good book. But like the whole sci-fi concept, but like how love is like the propelling force through the multiverse basically. I'm like,
Okay, I'm gonna have to pick that one up. That one is not on my radar, but
okay,
that is Dark Matter.
yes, and the TV show is really good on Apple TV, but like literally the book, and it's a really quick read. The pacing of it's like masterclass, but I told Brandon, I was like, this is like low key one of the most, Brandon's my husband, one of the most romantic books I've ever read. Like, this is so good. It's so, so, so good. And then I read Babel this year.
Oh,
Okay. So I almost didn't finish it. And then, but I'm no quitter. I don't like DNFing stuff. But I was like, okay, I'm just gonna finish it. And I'm so glad that I did. So picture me, like I've got 50 pages left, and our whole family trains jujitsu.
mhm.
And so I'm sitting in the gym while my kids' class is going on, and I'm finishing up the last like few pages of this book. I'm like, I'm just gonna knock it out before my class. And I am crying. I'm crying in the jujitsu gym the last part of this book. It wrapped up so beautifully. Like, I'm so glad that I finished it.
Okay, so that's encouraging because I just ordered the new special edition of Babel. I haven't read it yet,
Ooh.
but I've
Okay.
just started reading Catabasis by the same
Ooh.
author.
Yeah. Is it good?
So far, it's really good. And so this is
Okay.
my first read of her books.
Yeah, I haven't read anything else of hers before this. I just was like, oh, the magic systems based in linguistics. Sign me up. Like,
Yeah.
nerdy nerd. That sounds so great. And I mean, it's really, really good. I just got kind of like about halfway through and was like, okay, where are we going?
Mhm.
And then we went. So it is worth finishing. The ending, I think was just beautifully done. So,
Have you read Blood Over Brighthaven?
okay, it's on my list. Is
Okay,
it so good?
it's so good. In fact,
Okay,
I
okay.
have, I'm going to show you. Ooh.
Yeah, no, that's actually on my list, and I think I'm going to start reading The Will of Many
Oh,
next, but it's so big that I'm like, "Oh, that's
this is
a
from
pretty
Book
edition."
Binding, but Fairy Loot
Mm.
is releasing another special edition. So, and I got it. You'll be the first to know. I've been on the wait list for the combo, the Romantasy Adult YA box with Fairy Loot for a while, and I got my invitation in
Did you
May.
get
So I'm
Yay!
so excited. But
Yes, I love that for you. That's
that
amazing.
one was good. This is my Will of the Mini.
Ooh, yeah, that's
I
pretty.
read it, so you can see all my tabs.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
It was so
Okay.
good.
Okay.
I
I'm
think you
gonna
and I are similar in that I like a book, I like the story, but I like my books to say something.
Yeah, I want there to be like, what is like a deeper like undercurrent that we're trying to project here for sure. I like to think of books and like the ones that I keep thinking of down the line, like after I've read them, where I'm like, that still comes up in my head. The Book of Doors.
It's my favorite. It's one of my,
Oh my
I love
gosh.
it.
It is so good. It is so good. It's been sitting on my bookshelf. We have this is our like little mini library area here, but like we have stacks of books all over our house, and it's been sitting just waiting, waiting for its time to be chosen. And I read it actually over Christmas, and it was so good,
Yeah,
like beautiful, so beautiful.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Have
Hmm.
you read Conform?
Okay, no, I've seen Conform and Us Dark Few and Beneath. I think all of those
Beneath.
are kind of like
Hmm.
similar like genre vibes or whatever. You're
So,
like, yes.
yes. Oh, come here. So, I've read Conform.
Okay.
I read it in February. Loved it.
Literally
Loved
so
it.
good.
It
Okay.
reminds me a lot, I mean, of your book in that it's set in Earth, post-apocalyptic. It's after like a nuclear war. Um,
Hmm.
it was so good. I still think about this one. Beneath is like, so this is going to be a trilogy,
Okay.
and then Beneath is also going to be a trilogy, but it happens like 100 years before Conform. I
Oh,
haven't
okay.
read this one yet. I'll be
They're like
reading it.
under the surface, right? It's like subterranean. Did I make that up?
Yes,
Uh-huh. Yeah, okay.
because in Conform, they've here there's been a nuclear war, so they go underground to avoid nuclear winter. In
Yeah.
this one, they've come back up and they're rebuilding their society, and there's
Okay. Okay.
recreation contracts. I want to put this one on your
Ooh.
radar, The
Okay.
Faithful Dark.
Okay.
This takes place in a fantasy version of a city that's kind of like the Vatican. And so
Ooh.
there's a lot of like religious, and then like there's people you have to atone for your sins, and like very, very interesting, very different from anything else I've read. I interviewed the author, so
Yeah.
if you it's on my YouTube channel, but
Ooh, I'll check that out.
I I really enjoyed it. If for no other
Okay.
reason, the writing was great, but it was also so different, so different.
I love when stuff is like the premise of books or it's just like its
Hmm.
own vein. They're in their own lane. Like we're playing checkers, they're playing chess, kind of a thing where you're like, wow, I that's such a cool concept. So, and I always like book recs because I'm like, I want to buy all the books, but then I'm like, somebody tell me that they've really enjoyed this. So when I get it, I'm like, there's in theory, I'll like it. But yeah, like those are some of the ones that I've read recently. And I read To Cage a Wild Bird, and that one
Oh,
was yeah, that one was really good.
that's
It
good.
was super like I say ingestible. Like you could just it was made sense. Like the pacing was good. It was easy to get through. And I think that that's supposed to be a duology. So it does end not on a cliffhanger, but like
Things left undone. Loose.
exactly. Yeah, there are loose threads that have yet to be tied.
It
So
was
that one
a
was good.
it was a good
And
place for it to end. I felt
Mhm.
that one.
Have you read any of the Scythe series?
No, is that like the Butcher and Blackbird?
No, it's the Neil Schusterman wrote it. So it's like I'm looking for him. Okay, Scythe, Thunderhead, and the Toll. It's it's dystopian too, but it's more YA. Um, but it's set in the future where like there's like AI runs everything and people are basically like immortal, but then there's these individuals who are chosen to be basically glean others. So like the killings are random.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, and it's kind of dark, but like the again talking about stuff that makes you think, like the premise behind like these people carry the weight of basically gleaning the population.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
No.
and
Okay. I need
yeah,
to.
and they're really good. The series is really really good. And how he connects the different books together and kind of brings some characters back to like like the circle feels unfinished and then you're like, okay, there we go. Um, it's yeah, they're really good and they're like pretty quick reads, but yeah, definitely more like YA focused. But there were some characters that I grieved when, when they when they didn't make it. I was like, oh man, find what you like and be unapologetic about reading the stuff that you like. And I do read some nonfiction kind of peppered in there too. I can read nonfiction and fiction at the same time. I can't like double dip fiction. But
That can be hard. I do, but normally it's different mediums, like audiobook and then book.
okay. I just okay, this is gonna sound super silly. I would guess was like really analog and was like physical books or bust. And I finally got a Kindle, like finally joined the 21st century. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like I can just pick this up and read it whenever, and it's right here. I did start reading the Akatar series finally, like
Oh,
20 years behind everybody else. And um, like just the depth and connectivity that she was able to like weave through those books is insane. I'm
I
like,
will say, like, always a big reader. Then I
hmm
did my master's. In fact, you mentioned the space trilogy. When I did my master's, I did a master of liberal arts, and so I took one whole
ooh,
class on
cool.
Arthurian lore, and we read that Hideous Strength as part.
Yes, because Merlin's in it. Yeah.
Yes, so it was
Oh my
very
gosh.
good. So I have to tell you this because it was so funny. I also
Yeah.
took a whole class on Tolkien, and
Okay.
I was writing my final paper. My husband took me to this coffee shop, and I'm like procrastinating. He's like, Jenna, write your paper, write your paper.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this girl, this young girl, um, she's looking at me and she's like, "You have a paper to write?" I'm like, "I do. What about you?" She's like, "Yeah." And I asked her what her paper was on, and it was something
Uh-huh.
neuroscience, like something really intense with lots of
Yeah.
math. I'm like, "You, no math." And she
Yeah.
looks at me, "What's your paper on?" I'm like, I'm exploring themes of death and the afterlife in Harry Potter versus Lord of the Rings." She looks at me and goes back to her paper. I felt so judged.
You're like, these things are important too, okay?
I know. I was like, okay, I'll go write my paper now.
Like, well, good talking to you. You're like, it's about elves
I know, but
and wizards.
I'm gonna do it.
That you're like one of the first people I've ever like mentioned the space trilogy to who knew what it was. Like when I saw your reaction, I was like,
Yeah,
she
I've read the
knows.
whole
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
And
right over there.
I
It's
think I finally like peer pressured my husband into reading it because he loves Tolkien. He's like read the Silmarillion. I mean, all of like the backlog stories. I'm like, well, if you can get through that,
I
you're
get through the
golden.
space trilogy. They're
Yeah,
mm,
yeah. But we had like a whole big long discussion about how that hideous strength ends because it is kind of like, wait, what? And I'm like, just go read like a summarization and like an analysis of the ending. And I was like, and then you'll see that it's actually like really brilliant. And this like hodgepodge of things that Lewis is so good at. He's like a little bit of mythology, a little bit of this. And um yeah, so that's like that one's like one of my like super favorites. I really, really like that one a lot.
and I really
Um
liked Paralandra because I thought it was just so
mm,
beautiful. It was just his descriptions, and I'm
yeah.
like, I want to be in what was it? It was Jupiter, right?
Yeah, or Venus.
Venus. Maybe it was
Yeah.
Venus. I was like, I want to go just hang out in
Just
Venus.
on these like floating islands and
Yes,
stuff.
yes,
Yeah. I
yes.
was like, yes, sign me up. No, it was beautiful. And like his depiction of evil in that book was talking about stuff that like lives rent free in your head that I'm like, that was not the typical like, aggressive, like up in your face type of evil that I think sometimes we're used to, but like just the grating,
Hmm.
like, constant nagging sandpaper type of thing that you can't get rid of, where I was like, oh, that's, ugh. I don't, I don't like it. The Boundary of Blood, and it's a fictionalized, I know this is like not everybody's jam, but it's like a fictionalized telling of a biblical story
Mm.
from judges, like some like a really kind of passing through mention in one of the Old Testament books. But the guy who wrote it did an exceptional job of like researching, like I think having like getting stuff right for the culture. um Really, really good. And that's a quick read, like it's less than 200 pages,
Oh,
so it's a quick one. But
Boundary of Blood.
yeah, and it's by
Okay.
Cliff Graham. Like,
So, what is, if there was a book you could go back and read for the first time and experience that again, what would it be?
oh my gosh, what a good question. Okay, I'm gonna say two different ones. The most recent one that I wish I could go back and read again for the first time, I think would be Dark Matter. It was really like as a recent read that I've been through. It was just, I think, so unexpected that I was like, man, that was really special. It reminded me a lot of like Interstellar is my favorite movie,
Okay.
and like the premise behind like again, love is the driving force that kind of like goes past like space and time and that kind of thing. So I think that one, if it's a recent read, I would say Out of the Silent Planet or A Wrinkle in Time, just because I those are sort of kind of hallmark books for me. I think
Mm-hmm.
that I really appreciate like the craftsmanship as like what the writer has done, but then also like what it made me feel.
Mm-hmm.
Those unquantifiable things where I was like, I felt this way.
Yes.
And yeah, so those are good. What about you? What book would you read
The
again?
Night Circus. Have you read that one?
Ooh, I haven't. Okay, The Night Circus.
It's so good. In fact, I get teased. I have like two special edition versions up there, and then I saw someone else just came out with one. I'm like, I'm gonna have that one too, because it's
You're like,
such
gotta
a.
have them all. Yeah.
What's your unpopular opinion?
Okay, man, unpopular opinion. I think my unpopular opinion, this may not be directly towards a book, but unless it's just absolutely like offensive or like physically painful to get through, like see it through. Just whenever people are like, I don't know if I want to read this or not. I'm very much in the camp of like, just see it through,
Hmm.
see it through. Like even the space trilogy, I know some people are like, what the heck is going on? Or I don't, or like that hideous strength is twice as long as the other books. I'm like, just trust the process, see it through. And, typically it's pretty decent, but
But my
okay.
unpopular opinion is Night in the Moth. So she asked me, she's like, the sequel's coming out. Are you gonna read it? And I'm like, ugh,
If I must.
fine, I'll read it for you.
Yes, fine. Yeah, okay, so I mean if we're talking about this is just something I'm currently reading. I'm reading The Court of Silver Flames right now, and I literally wanted to punch Nesta in the face. And
Aubrey
I'm like,
loves Nesta. I
okay,
do not love
and
Nesta.
no, I don't either. But and like again, maybe my unpopular opinion once again is like, I guess like I'm no quitter, like I'm gonna see it through. But I was like, I also didn't realize that the book was about her primarily. And so I was like, why are we still talking about her? Um, and I don't know, I'm according to my Kindle, since I'm so fancy now and have a Kindle, I'm like I don't know 75% of the way through. So I'm like I'm getting close to the end. But the first half I was like she is literally insufferable. Like she is being such a butthole to everybody and I can't. I'm like is there any kind of redemption arc that's happening here? Or is she just going to be like a giant jerk to everybody for 800 pages? Um and so I did do a little bit of like not research, but just kind of reading. And I think it's so interesting that there are a lot of people who are in defense of her because they resonate with her so much, and that they're like, no, she really is on this journey. But like, so again, I don't know. I guess like when I read, I like to look at like the craft, like why the writer does what they do and all of that just almost painful interactions that she's having with people and just coming at them like with barbs that that was like a physical representation of how she was feeling. And so I was like, okay,
Yeah, she had an
fine,
interview.
fine.
Yeah, she had an interview with Call Her Daddy recently, and she talked about how that book was her walking through these things. And
Yes.
that makes sense. I think her publisher, I think Bloomsbury, I believe,
Hmm.
is just horrible to her. And that's not the only author that I think has had issues with them. But
Yeah.
so that's understandable. Oh, what I started to tell you. So I did my master's and I was reading. Then I got pregnant with my little one. Everything
Hmm.
stopped. And so a few years ago, once she was in school and whatever, and my friends kept telling me, "Oh, Akatar, Akatar," and I finally picked it up, read through the whole series. Then I picked up her Crescent City, read through that, and then I read Throne of Glass.
Uh-huh.
Throne of Glass.
Okay.
Oh.
And I feel like we're like similar vibes, so I will gladly take the recommendation because I'm like this. I mean, I really enjoyed the series, but this book, I was like, this feels different, and I was just having such a hard time getting past where I'm like, dude, she's like annoying me at this point. She's just being so difficult for the entirety of the book. Um, and like intentionally hurtful, I guess, where I'm like, but now that I'm past, she's getting better and like she's found this like this healing and this journey of kind of unraveling the hurt that she was harboring so closely and that it was like in she hated herself so much and just was lashing out at everybody else on top of that or because of it. And so I definitely feel like the empathy towards her is growing, but I don't know, that one is in the similar category of Babel to me, where I'm like, I'm glad that I'm finishing it, but there was a point that I was like, I'm very much like a vibe reader. Like, I don't have okay, this is next up on my list. I'm like, what am I feeling right now? Like, I just finished this. Like, what's the vibe right now to pick up my next read? So,
I did a
okay.
combo of that. I made a list of 26 books to read in 2026,
Hmm.
and then I will choose based on the vibe from this list what I haven't read yet, because and they're all books that I have, because I have a bunch of physical books that I have not read yet. So that's
Okay,
what.
that's really smart. Where it's like, okay, there's parameters, but then okay, I like that. I'm a little late to the game, but I may just be like 26 and 26. I've already read several this year, so I'll add it to the stack. And
Yeah. I did that. I didn't
oh yeah,
finalize my 26 to read in 26 till like March or something. And then
okay,
the ones that had been on my list from last year, like just in my head,
uh-huh,
that I read, I marked it, like Conform was one.
yeah,
And I read it in February, but I marked it off because it was
yeah.
so.
Okay, I love that. I'm like, me and Jenna, we're gonna be on this
We are.
journey with
You'll do it.
yeah,
I
I
want to
know.
do a quick fire round of questions.
Okay,
These are just easy, whatever comes to your mind first, okay?
okay.
Okay, coffee, tea, or energy drinks?
Ooh, coffee,
Hardcover, paperback, ebook, or audiobook?
hardcover,
Me too. Morning
yeah,
writer or midnight writer?
midnight.
Oh, favorite writing snack?
Oh, coffee.
Coffee. Okay.
Yeah.
So are you a black coffee or do you like it with all the
Um,
sweetness?
no, I'm like I like just drip coffee, but like I'll do half and half in sugar.
Okay, like
Also,
cafe
and
au lait.
yeah, kind of like that. And random freebie, but I collect random mugs with names on them. So like Florence.
I love it.
So I have like all of these random mugs that have like random people's names on them, like Curtis and Irene and Brenda. And it is my like super dorky favorite collection. So yeah, Florence is my latest
I love it.
latest collection. But yeah, I'll sit on my porch, drink coffee, and write late into the night. That's my setup.
Oh, that's the dream.
Yes.
Okay, one word description of your book.
Oh, hope.
Hmm. Last book that made you cry.
Oh gosh. Dark Matter
Dark Matter.
and Project Hail Mary. That made me cry too, actually.
Last book that made you stay up way too late.
Um, the one that I'm reading right now, A Court of Silver Flames. I was up way too late reading that last night.
If you could have dinner with any author, living or dead, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. I would say Tolkien,
Mm,
just master craftsman, so
and he's fascinating. Okay,
yeah.
cats, dogs, dragons, or magical sentient houses.
Oh man, sentient houses that could also have dogs.
And that would do the cleaning. Yeah.
Yes, I'm like, from a pragmatic perspective, sentient houses,
Favorite
please.
fictional couple.
Oh, I mean, can I say Rids and Psy? Can I say
Yes.
Rids and Psy, our crew? Yeah, can I say them? Mhm.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Erin, for talking with us. It's been delightful. And
No, thanks so much for having me.
when will book number two come out?
Man, so I'm working on book two, and I'm actually working with a book coach, and so she's got me on goals.
Love
So she's holding me to some pretty lofty writing goals. So in theory, like, within a year, like it'll be out and available for people to read and continue the journey with our fave little found family.
Wonderful. And where can people get a copy of your book?
Yeah, so it's on Amazon. You can get a paperback or ebook version, bookshop, and then some local bookstores have copies of it too that also ship. But if you're wanting a quick, fast way to get it. It's on Amazon and Prime.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, and we cannot wait to read your next book. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
thank you.